All right. Let's make sure we're working here. Everything should be good to go. Should be live for everybody. We're going to get right into this. So I want to make sure you all are able to see this. And once we're good, then we're going to get right into the spreadsheet. So I'm going to try to make this a quick video. Um, looks like everything's going. Looks like we're able to see you guys do your stuff here. What's up? So I thought I would do a quick video. So I've been working pretty hard on trying to automate this mining spreadsheet that I'm actually going to use also for the Ethereum cat herders call on EIP 1559. And it's not specifically for that. It's going to become more for all mining because I'm going to include RVN and for Raven. I'm gonna include as many networks as I can in this spreadsheet and all the profitability calculations for you guys. But I have made some improvements to this, so hopefully you guys will be able to provide comments on this video. I want to make sure below, if you're tracking this, please review it, look at the math behind it. I think you guys are going to be really excited about this. So I don't think there's anything out there right now like this. I know there's What to Mine and a few others, but I'm taking it a step further. And I think it's starting off as this Google Sheet first, but let's get into what the modifications I've made to this for you guys. So, and you should be able to save and make a clone of this where you can edit your own versions of it. I think I have that all unlocked. Please put in the description if you cannot save this and you're having problems. You shouldn't be able to edit the version I have, but you should be able to clone it. There is some open APIs with the certificates included in it, and you may have to make changes for your own API if it actually threads out. I'm going to show you guys quickly how to do that. If you come into the tools side and you go into macro or script editor, so this should launch the script editor, and it should give you the ability to come in here and make changes to this. Um, I've made backups of this. I need to make another backup of this, but this is essentially the APIs that it's pulling, and we're going to be adding some more stuff, not just block rewards and net hashes. I'm going to try to put a lot of other historical stuff in here too, but bottom line, that's how you get to that. Let me just go back to this sheet here. Now, that's where the data is coming from on um, the pricing. So any of the crypto prices, also the net hash now is being calculated also from those APIs. So we can get real-time numbers here. That's kind of a few of the updates since the last spreadsheet. And I'll get to your guys' questions here in a minute, represented. So that's all API driven. But here is the real cool thing I think you guys are going to like. So under the what if model tab, I have a drop down set up here because a lot of people have asked me, hey, if I was mining back in the day, like what could I have seen? What could I have made from a particular rig? So right here, you can come in here and put like an 8-card rig. You can make a change to there. It's going to pull the mega hash on that. It's all doing lookups for that. And then you can hit this drop down here and you can pick your different GPU types. So let's take a venture of cards that were available that had the right size of memory that would sit there and make it through and through since the beginning of Ethereum. So let's look at, I don't know, we could look at like an R9 390. Now, this would not have been profitable for the power for a long time, but let's go ahead and just use the R9 390, or not 3090. Let's do the 2090 because the 290, because the 290 would have been around at the start of Ethereum. 294 gig would have ran out of memory, so just until recent. But let's do a GTX because it's not going to be relevant from the beginning. But let's do a 1070. So these first numbers, you would not been able to do it from a start here. Okay, because Ethereum started back in where we could mine it back in July, the end of July in 2015. This card did not come out until like I think I have it. I started doing references here. So yeah, here was the release date, and I'm going to fill out these release dates of each of the GPU types. So then we'll be able to pull the model to where it'll be able to calculate correctly. So 7/10/2016 was the earliest time you could have gotten a 1070. I'm trying to put the sources there. So if we come back to the what if model, the 1070 from essentially the peak, let's just look at this number. If you were to mine from the peak, and this is at the dates here, I'm going to show you where the calculations are coming from. But if you would have been mining nonstop at 100% uptime, which we know is not feasible, let's say you had 80% uptime, okay? So if you type in 80% here, it's going to recalculate these figures. So from where this figure doesn't matter, like this one here does not matter, we're going to highlight this because that doesn't matter, because you could not have mined from there. But you could have done it from the start of the peak, which was December 1st of 2017. You would have currently at 80% uptime would have been able to mine 82 Ethereum. That's about $144,000 Ethereum on that one mining rig. And that's an 8-card 1070 rig. So people are like, hey man, I've been mining whatever from that. From if you started in 2019, you would have earned 10.2 Ethereum. If you would have started in 2020, you would have made about 5 Ethereum. And this is including all of the block rewards. So let me get in here to show you how this is all being calculated. So if I come over here to ETH historical data, this is all the ETH historical data, including the profitability per 1 mega hash versus, and that's taking the block reward, that's taking the hash rate, that's taking the Ethereum price. It's taken not the Ethereum price. I do calculate the price at the current price. If you were mining per day, that's what this yield per day is. But what I'm doing is I'm taking this profitability per day, and you can see per mega hash, and this data is pulled from BitInfo charts. And I'm going to show you guys here at the end of this how I do this. So it's kind of give you the keys to the kingdom if you want to really kind of parse in some data, use an Excel. But what we're trying to find out, because there's so many different unique numbers when you're calculating profitability, you're looking at current yield of block reward plus transaction fees. This is all assuming that you're on a mining pool and you're getting your proportional amount of yield per your card. So like you're not having to wait if you're on a pool that's had some bad luck and isn't winning a lot of blocks, and your PPLNS is not getting paid out with where you should be proportional to your hash rate. This is all assuming 100%. That's a really hard figure to add in there. Plus, a lot of the pools don't make their data available to where I could parse that in. So we're gonna take an assumption from just you're getting all for your hash power, and then this is showing you at the current selected rig, it's pulling in what you have selected. So this is 244 mega hash at 80% uptime. What was the raw profit on the amount per day of Ethereum? So on this piece here, and again, we're on the historical tab, on 8/2 of 2015, if you were able to achieve 244 mega hash, you would have brought in about, on that particular day, you would have brought in about 64 ETH on that one day. That was on the very, very start, right? 244 mega hash was like nearly impossible to get at that point in time. But what this allows us to do is create views from a particular date reference, right? So now I can create a custom view. Like if I scroll down here, this is a pretty cool thing by itself from a model standpoint, because it actually tells you your yields per your mega hash at your uptime. And it's all calculating off of historical data. So it's historical to the point of what I just said. Again, this is not predicated on the pool you're on. You're hoping that your pool is at least giving you your proportional share. I would be honest and say plus or minus this with 5% or so, because that gives you more of a much more accurate calculation with the up and down. But yeah, hopefully, as some people, I'm fighting a migraine here. So the calculations are taking a very baseline, and what we'll end up doing is we'll take I'll come back in here. They're pulling from this model and from all these reference hash rates and power. So in the spreadsheet here, we can make more entries with better efficiencies. But what I've done here is taken the average based on previous calculations that I have from my own testing, essentially owning pretty much all of these GPU types, including the Titan V. We do have some 3090s coming in and some 3060 Ti's coming in and 3070s, so I'll be able to get more accurate figures here for those. From my own personal testing, I had to pull some of the testing from other folks. But base reference MSRP price, we haven't done the this has got ROI on this side of the calculation here. Bottom line, these tabs have a lot of data in them, and they're giving you different types of information. I'm trying to make this a very comprehensive one-stop shop spreadsheet for everybody, but I wanted to make sure that one, you guys knew about it, two, you guys can make a copy of it and provide some input on for some data to where we can make this a very robust sheet and maybe eventually turn this into a website. But this is kind of the back end calculations, making sure all the figures are correct and understood, and then giving some historicals because people are coming out and asking, hey, is something profitable? Is the ROI accurate? How's this work? And what I would point them to is going back to the historical data and looking at a rig that you would build and just looking, go back into, let's just here in 2020 and just seeing now this, it's hard to calculate this because this is set up in the way it is, but you can see the numbers here. And as you go from 250 terahash hash rate to 420 hash rate, which is what we're at right now, 430 total terahash of hash rate. I'm going to add more columns to the right to show that kind of that change, the change in the hash rate and the percentages. There's several websites that give you that kind of what's the, I think Coin Wars gives you a percentage over the last 30 days of increase in that, but it gives you a reflection of where price is very high and yield is very high, the hash rate follows it. People are going to build more miners, they're going to buy more cards when they can, and they're going to participate on this network. And this is not just part and parcel of Ethereum. This is with any network. If Ravencoin blows up past 8 cents, which it is right now, and it goes to $1 and it becomes the most profitable thing to mine, you're going to have this massive shift of hash power that follows that. Rightfully so. People are like, oh, miners are just dirty profit chasers, and what it comes down to is we're a service provider, and we're going to go to the service. We're going to yield, go where the best yield is. That's just there is some kind of, I would call, brand loyalty mining. I've always mined Raven. I still mine ETC for some of the brand loyalty piece there. Even though it's not the most profitable. And then some are your kind of your long shots. People mine a couple rigs, but by and large, larger sets of if you have 6 to 10 rigs, something like that, you're gonna want probably your best yield. So this really shows what happens to your yield when more and more folks get on there, and kind of gives you that kind of profitability. It also shows you that in the times when the network recesses some because the price is way down, it gives you at least that what did you miss out on. That was another thing I wanted to make sure that I was providing in this spreadsheet, is people are like, hey, my rigs were turned off. I have no idea what I missed out on here. And this lets you calculate what you missed out on. It's one of those things that kind of drives a knife in you in a little, maybe, but I wanted to give some kind of reflection as I start to try to answer some of these things that come across, the Twitter and people asking questions with mining, to give you guys a tool that at least calculates that. So this is the update. You guys can play around with it. You can see how everything's calculated. Pulling in difficulty and net hash for a lot of the other networks. Version 3 is going to include a handful of more networks. This calculation also, since you guys have last seen it under the ETH forecast, ETH has essentially pre and post EIP 1559. I have some basics in here that I've added that's going to be used as part of my discussion point when I'm on the ETH Cat Herders community call on February 26th. I'm going to be handling a community call there from a miner perspective, if you guys aren't tracking that. And it's just an open call about 1559. Why, you know, I'm, I guess, representing some of the groups of miners out there, um, and why we're against it. And it just comes down to, just the raw math of it. I mean, it's going to be reducing almost by half, 50% of the ETH's yield, because the amount of block reward right now. I mean, if we're looking here, this is pulling the real time block reward right here. So this literally goes out, and if I just hit enter again here, it pulls it in real time. So the block reward right now is 4, which is twice what the current ETH reward normally is. I mean, you take that away, it's going to be a pretty significant decrease for people. But again, there's a handful of things I'm going to cover in that call. You guys, I'll save some of that for the call. I've added a couple other things here. This is the Medium post that it takes you to that call for event for the February 26th. There's a hyperlink in there. And then this was just a reference to one of the pools that are out there that are supporting EIP 1559 is F2 pool. Been around for a long time, and they're for it. And bottom line, based on pulling data from their pool, and the fact that they covered the Innisilin Phoenix ahead of everybody else out there. I mean, this is a shot of one of the outputs of the pool where you can see this X35, X36, X37, and like 3 gigahash. This is on ETH like right now. So it's obvious that Silicon, if they haven't shipped their ASICs, they're mining with them. So somebody's mining with them. Maybe it's a private investor that was able to get the Silicons, but they're on the ETH network. This is part of the reason why it went up significantly, and at almost 3 gigahash per unit here. And then F2 pool was the one displaying it, and that's where the miners are pointed at least the few that we can find out there on the network. I mean, no kidding, they're going to support it, right? The miners that have these Silicon things are pointed to their pool. So, I mean, in business, not everything's fully transparent. What I'm trying to do is make things as most transparent as possible. I think it creates a good ecosystem. It creates good info sharing. And again, we're just service providers for these networks, right? To keep all this internal and not to share this information creates a very closed network. And I don't think that's good for the ecosystem in general. So just trying to make sure that people have all the right data, and people can point out other data that I don't have out here. So let me get to some of the questions. I know somebody did a super chat. Somebody was asking, what are your views on the new ASIC miners? Well, I think I covered some of that. They're on the network. This is a picture of an example of some that are out there. There's a few links out there that show you the new ASIC miners. They're there. They're going to continue to proliferate while ETH is still mineable at these rates. Will Ravencoin save us from Vitalik? I don't know. Ravencoin's really doing well. It's got a really good community behind it. I think a handful of Vertcoin and a few of the other ones are really starting to pull forward on some of the profitability for miners to be able to start moving over to some of those networks. But I mean, Ravencoin would have to go. That was part of the calculation I was going to try to do here, but I need all of the Ravencoin yield output data for each GPU type, to then start backwards calculating it's essentially the algebra that it's going to take to figure out how much potential GPUs are on Ethereum's network, and is that like 180 terahash, and does that 180 terahash equal like 60 tera, or 60, potentially 60 terahash on Ravencoin's network, which is at like what 7 terahash or something in ProgPow. I need to look at it. I haven't looked at their hash rate in a little bit, but it's something like 50x on the current network size for Ravencoin. So I mean, the price would have to be just astronomical. Rich Reporter, Twitch misses you. Yes, I will start going back to Twitch here. I had to get my whole setup redone. And I was having troubles trying to log into Twitch and get everything configured. I tried to do a dual stream, and I'm still having issues with it. I think I have to generate some new keys to get on Twitch again, but I want to start getting back into Twitch, buddy. For those of us that mined Ravencoin right when the start, when you made videos, must be happy right now. Well, I mean, it depends if people kept their coins. I do know that one rig was pushing out about 150,000 Raven a day, um, if not a little more when I first started. That first video I made on Raven back in February of 2018, a single mining rig. I think the rig that I showed out there made like something like almost 200,000 Raven in one day, one machine. So that kind of shows you that kind of early thing. And that's another thing is any new coins coming out. There's not been a lot of proof of work innovation in coins in a while. And, you know, is there going to be one that comes out with a huge development team knowing that ETH's going to be shedding miners? Who knows? I mean, there's always that there too. Would you advise from switching to Linux rather from Windows mining? Yes, always. It's a lot more stable. I show a lot of Windows stuff because there's a lot of engagement from just the count of new people coming in are going to be running on their Windows machine. But yes. Restream it, dude. Yes, I could restream this onto Twitch. That would make sense. All right, boys. This was supposed to be a really quick 20-minute one. Please comment below if you see stuff that's out on this spreadsheet. Please try to make sure that you can make a copy of it. You should be able to, and if you can't, hit the drop downs here to start recalculating stuff so you can figure out, you know, like what's the 5600 XT that just came out. You gotta know when it came out to understand, you know, like these first numbers were not possible. But from 2019, it was possible. So you can start to figure out, you know, what would an 8-card rig have earned you if you had it on with 80% uptime, you know, those sorts of things. So try to use the drop downs, make sure everything's functional and working for you. Let me know, and I will get back to you guys with a proper normal video. I just wanted to come straight live because there's a lot to explain in this video. And I was thinking of all the editing I was going to have to do. And I was like, you know what, this would have been so much easier just to explain it to people, to kind of, you know, walk through each of the tabs and make sure people understood how this is calculated, and the data that you can see there. I left all of the calculations in there so you guys could figure out. Oh, you know what I was going to do? I was going to show. Do you guys? I'll tell you what. I'll take a real quick poll. There's 110 of you on here. Do you guys want to see how I extract this data from the web? I mean, it's going to be a really quick Excel lesson, like maybe 5 minutes. But I'm going to show you how I can pull that out. We'll here. I'll just do it without. Let's go to bit info charts. Here we can go to Ethereum price. So let's say you wanted price by Ethereum from this site, right? Like you wanted each of them out there. So when you notice your mouse, when you're on the mouse here in the upper left-hand corner up here, it's giving you the data, okay? And what that means is that they either have a script or they have some kind of database in the background. So what I usually do is go view source. That's going to bring you up all this kind of stuff. Well, what we're looking for here is you see all these dates and stuff here. So what we want to look for is the start of when those dates start. So here they are at the top. So it starts here with a bracket. So I'm going to start to pull this. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to drag all the way over to where I can see the end of that line, which is really close. We were just there. Here we go. Right there. So now I got all the data. If I control copy that and I go into Notepad and I paste that in, it's going to look like that. It's a big jumbled mess. Now there's a few things I want to get rid of. I want to go to find and replace. I want to get rid of new date, replace all. That's going to get rid of that. I want to get rid of the left big bracket there, replace all that. It's going to get rid of that. I want to get rid of the open parentheses bracket. And then I want to get rid of the quotes. Replace all that. Okay, so now I should be left with the date, a parenthesis, a comma, and then a back bracket. Okay. So now I'm going to hit, I could technically get rid of the other, you know what, I'll save that for the next thing. That way you guys can see how that works. And so I'm going to name this one, save as, we're going to just name this new ETH price dot text. Okay. And then we're going to come in here and hit Excel. We're going to new, we're going to open this, and we're going to come in here to data, and we're going to get this from, here, let's close this. We're going to get this from text CSV desktop. We're going to come into here with the ETH new price text. That's going to pull, it's going to take it a second because it's trying to parse in, and then it's going to come up with this little import wizard. We're going to hit this delimiter and we're going to go to colon. It's going to just smash that all together in one column. And then we're going to transpose this. Okay. So once it's in this little Power Query editor, we're going to come right up here and we're going to say we need to split this by delimiter. And we're going to change this one to just be that back bracket. And what it's doing is where you see the date here, and then the comma, and then the price, and then the back bracket, and then there's another comma, and then there's a new date, right? So we're saying from there, we want to make those rows, and we put that to none for special characters. When I do that and I hit OK, bam, it slams them all into rows for us. Now I want to do it again from a split column, and I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to put, I need to separate the date and I need to separate the price in this, right? So I'm going to come in here and say, I want to separate based on that closed parenthesis. That's why we left that in there. And then we're going to go that to columns. We're going to put that special character to none, and we're going to go like that. Now I have the separation of column and date. Okay. And notice there is some crazy numbers in there from like 10/3 of 2014. Ethereum didn't start for the mainnet, but there was a lot of like forecasted pricing that was like a leading indicator what per Ethereum would go for. So there was like from 9/30/2014 through like the 7th of or 7/30 of 2015, there was a lot of just like speculative price forecasting of what each one would have went for. So they include that data. I usually delete everything after that, you know, from 7/30 and before, because it's non-relevant to us because we couldn't mine it and we couldn't do anything with it. It was all speculative pricing at that point. But this has separated those two things in there. And now we're going to load that. And now when we load that, it's going to pull it in here with the column date being right. So we could just normal name that to date. Let's go here, this date. And then this is ETH price, right? And what I want to do is highlight this whole column here. And I want to do a Control F and do a replace and get rid of that comma now. Replace all. That'll get rid of that. And then all the nulls, we want to just replace all those with nothing. And now we made 55 replacements there. Now I have two columns of the ETH price and the ETH date from the beginning all the way to today's date. And that's all there is to it. So then I could do that with each of the things that are part of BitInfo charts. So on here, they have a lot of the different networks here, Ethereum. And then if I clicked on like difficulty or hash rate, it's actually going to give me the same sets of data that I can now correspond and VLOOK them up against the date. So then I would have all the hash rate, all the block reward, all of the, they're also calculation that they're getting from the fees and rewards, the mining profitability. So they're doing some of the nested calculations for us already on profitability, and they're doing the profitability based on 1 mega hash based on total block reward. So that's why it's more profitable. Like you can see the most profitable time ever for Ethereum isn't right now. It actually was back in 2016 when the amount of yield of Ethereum that you got, it was still, even at the price that it was still higher. And you can see on this chart right here that it was way higher. We have not, and you can see the line going straight across there to 2021. We're creeping up, but we're still not there. Ethereum needs to be around 3 grand at the current hash rate, the current total hash rate, to exceed this. So it gives you guys some good data points. So hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully that kind of gives you guys a little cheat code to life on being able to calculate some stuff. Yeah, let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Any more questions? We'll get that. Thanks, Fred Pandem, for trying to drum some of those likes up. We'll get back to it. So I'm gonna let you guys get back to it and hit me up on the comments and let me know.